From the second floor window of their small house, a lady and her sister could see the garden next door. Such fine fresh rows of plants and flowers they were, but no one went over the garden wall to see them up close, because the garden belonged to a witch. One day the lady was looking down at the garden from her window and she saw a delicious looking lettuce. The next night, the carpenter climbed over the wall and she picked up the lettuce.
Sir.
She picked up the lettuce with one hand, and at once came a loud voice. What do you think you are doing?
What do you think you're doing? I'm taking a lecture.
For my sister, said the carpenter.
My sister's doing that.
Yeah. Why should I pay? I don't do anything.
I do anything.
Yes.
Yes. I'm taking it.
What?
What? You can do that.
You will.
Daddy.
Yeah. And the witch laughed, an evil laugh. Soon, the lady had a baby girl, just as the witch had said. To keep the baby safe from the witch, the carpenter built a tall tower deep in the woods. Her and her sister took turns staying with the baby. But the witch, dun dun dun, had a magic ball. The ball showed her where the baby was, at the top room of the tower. One day, she cast a spell over both of the sisters, and they fell into a deep, deep sleep. And at once, the witch went to the tower. Ah! At the top room, the witch said to the baby, exactly what you said, sorry, I will call you Rapunzel. But the witch did not know how to take care of a baby. Rapunzel grew into a child, and the witch did not even know how to cut her hair. The girl's hair grew longer and longer every day. On her 12th birthday, Rapunzel said to the witch, I do not care what you say anymore. I'm tired of being alone. Think again. There's no way for you to escape. Yes. One day, a prince was riding through the woods on a unicorn. He heard a beautiful singing voice. Where was it coming from? He rode closer and closer to the sound, and at last he came to the tower. This is odd, said the unicorn. Looking around the tower wall, there is no door at the bottom. And someone is singing at the top. Each day, the prince came back to the tower, and there was something about the voice that pulled him back. Who was that young woman singing at the top? Could he ever meet her? One day, when the prince rode up, he saw an old woman standing below the tower. He jumped behind a tree to hide. It was the witch. A long braid came out of the window, and the old woman climbed to the very top of the tower. Aha, said the prince. So that's how it's done. After a bit, the braid was thrown out of the window again, and the witch climbed back down the tower wall and then she left. The prince waited. He came up to the tower, and in a voice that sounded as much like the prince as the witch as possible, he called out. In a moment, the same hair came out of the window. What? Squeaked the unicorn. He climbed up the wall of the tower. You can be sure that Rapunzel was very surprised to see a prince climb into her window. She'd never seen a person, and never a boy before.
Come here.
I feel like I know you. You have a beautiful voice. And I love you. The unicorn stamped her hooves a little jealously. Yes, I like that too. Rapunzel told the prince about the witch. She told him that since the world was such a very bad place, she must always stay in the tower room. Many hours went by, and at last Rapunzel said, I will be back tomorrow. And Rapunzel threw her hair out of the window, and the prince climbed down. The next day, the prince climbed back up to Rapunzel's room. He said, I have a surprise for you. He gave her some strawberries, and now she knew that what the witch told her was not true. I must get out of this tower. I know, said Rapunzel. Bring me a ball of silk each time you come. Yes, I will. Every day after that, the prince brought a ball of silk to Rapunzel, and over time she weaved the silk into a long ladder. On Rapunzel's 18th birthday, the witch spoke to her in a sharp, sharp voice. I'm sick and tired of hearing you talk about how alone you are. It isn't but... Who's been up here with you? The witch did not believe her. She started to look everywhere in the room for something to prove that someone else had been there. She found the ladder. What is the meaning of this? You will never see this friend. She took out a knife and snip, snip, snip. Rapunzel's lovely hair was cut off. Holding her wand in one hand, the witch cast Rapunzel away to a faraway desert and laughed an evil laugh. Then the witch stayed in the tower room. She knew that soon the prince would come back. The witch did not have to wait long. Soon the prince was calling at the bottom of the tower in a voice that was supposed to sound like her own. The unicorn didn't think that was a very good idea. Holding tightly to the end of Rapunzel's braid, the prince took hold and climbed up. When he got to the window, he was very surprised to see the witch. Where's Rapunzel? You will never see Rapunzel again. The witch pushed the prince so hard that he lost hold of the window, and down, down he fell. The prince standing on some bushes below that helped him to fall, but the bushes had sharp thorns, and some of the thorns went into his eyes. The prince was blind, and the unicorn helped to nurse the wound. For 2 years, the poor blind prince wandered the world, looking for Rapunzel. From morning to night he called for her, but it was no use. At last he reached the desert, and one day he heard a beautiful voice singing. It was his dear Rapunzel. He went closer and closer to the voice he knew so well. Finally! Cried out the unicorn. My prince! The two of them hugged tight. 2 tears of joy fell into the eyes of the prince, and all at once he could see again. And what happened next? Well, I'm sure you can guess. The prince and Rapunzel went back to the kingdom where they lived. They were married as soon as they could, and the prince became king of the land, and Rapunzel became queen. The 2 of them lived happily ever after with the unicorn. Well done.